There we go. There we go. Okay. Welcome everybody. Today it's not Tech Talk, it is Morning Coffee with me, Ivan. Catherine is away today, but she'll be back next week. All right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Evan.
So listen, today we're going to talk about prospecting. Prospecting. Now, I'm not going to step on Michael Toles from Webbolt. He's going to be talking in a couple of weeks about cold calling specifically, and he's going to stress you guys out, put you guys through the paces and everything else. But today, I just want to talk generally about prospecting. And what I don't want to ask you how you go about prospecting, but I want you to tell each other, what do you have to consider before you go out and start prospecting? What do you have to have in mind?
Well, I think you would have to know your target audience.
Okay,
Who's
exactly.
going to be your clients? Who's your client base?
Yeah, and that should inform like everything that you do, right? So tell me things that people don't think about when you hear about prospecting. There's a lot of things that people don't consider as part of the prospecting game. So what would some of those things be?
Where would these people hang out?
Where would they hang out? Yeah. What else? You're prospecting, right?
What they're buying.
Okay, yeah. What they're buying? Sure. What else? Do you ever have it where you bump into somebody and they look the part, they dress the part, and you look at them when they say, "Yeah, I'm in investments, I'm in finance." You go, "Yeah, totally makes sense. I see it." Right? Or I'm a photographer. They have the, what do they call those French hats that tilt on the side? Like they have the whole thing, right?
Right.
And they look the part, and you just go, "Yeah, that totally makes sense." Especially if you bump into somebody and you're speaking to them, Shay, you're talking to the guy, and the conversation's really tough. There's no flow to the conversation, and you ask him what he does, and he says, "I'm in communication." You'd probably go, "Okay, you know, you're probably not doing too well." So, and you're probably not going to attract the people that you really want to attract. So these are things that you have to keep in mind, and so that will inform how you go about prospecting. So there are a number of, before I get it, yeah. So there are a number of ways that we focus on prospecting. One of them, of course, is cold calling, which we're not going to talk about today. The other one is email prospecting, social media, networking, of course, that's why we're here, and referral marketing. And then content marketing and inbound prospecting, local SEO and online presence, and of course, events. So of all of those, and I'll repeat them again, you've got email, social media, networking, content marketing and inbound prospecting, and local SEO for your online presence, and using events for marketing. How many of us use those? How many of you actually use all of those? Or of those, what do you use the most? And how many don't use any? Well, obviously you're here, so you're using at least one.
Mine's been emailing if I've done any.
Okay, email.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a deliberate campaign where you're actually deliberately putting together an email campaign, right? Okay,
Yep.
go ahead, Nicole.
I just want, you are recording. Where do we find the recording? Just because my internet is spotty and like it's just spotty right now, and this is really important for me to know.
Okay, yes, I'm definitely recording, and it will be on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'll send you a link.
Yes, at the moment I use networking mainly and also email with automation. I used to use what are they called, ads, as in paid ads on social media. But after reading a lot of Dan Kennedy and his theory about direct marketing, he talks something along the lines of less trust media. So let's say
Mm.
paid ads, but there's also high trust media. Let's say, for example, newspapers. I want to hear your thoughts about it because that's what made me stop using social media for the moment being. it's an amazing ROAS platform. As you know, you're in the digital marketing space. But for me, I find the best results and the highest quality leads when actually doing networking or email reach out. Let me know your thoughts, please.
Okay, that's a good point.
I,
Yeah,
I
so
I totally get that. Like I don't trust social media ads because there's a lot of garbage and there's a lot of stuff that isn't even it's misrepresenting. I complain about one on Facebook because when you click on it, it takes you somewhere completely different. It has
totally.
nothing to do with it.
Mm.
And they actually rejected that, even though it's obvious that it's, spam or misleading link. So I don't trust social media advertising for the most part. It's always like, "Oh, I don't know who's behind that." So more traditional advertising might be more credible. So
Interesting. Do you okay? Go ahead, Balbir.
My main way is events. Create your own events, or being in organizations where they have events. So I'm not doing all the promoting. And then once you get people, that's when you can actually start talking to them, having deeper conversations, and now you have all their information.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, sorry. To respond to the traditional advertising through newspapers and magazines and things like that, I think that it's good as a before it used to be radio, TV, newspaper, right, or magazines, print. Now you have to have a combination of everything, and you need to have ads that follow people. That's the reason why I like um, the internet is because you have remarketing campaigns that all of a sudden people are seeing your ad everywhere, and whether you are consciously picking it up or not, it's still an impression, right? You're still having more and more and more and more impressions, and then hopefully that will lead you to make that purchase. So I like a combination of different things when it comes to prospecting. If I want jet fuel for a campaign, I will always, my go-to is Google Ads. Google Ads just seem to work, just the nature of them. But outside of that, I like supporting whatever campaign I have with a good social media campaign, and then I follow that up with of course what we're doing here, networking and events. So I'm constantly doing networking and events, as you know. What we do, 23 of them every month here. So go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that social media, just like you just touched upon, it's very subconscious. Like even though we don't get anything out of it, it's actually for the long game
Hmm.
because it's very exposure. And yes, the algorithm may not get you to your customer right away, but after a while, when your business is on social media for a period of time, then the algorithm will be like, hey, I noticed that this person's still looking at, for example, dance videos. Oh, I saw this new thing pop up from Dance at Your Doorstep. They did a
Right.
dance video. Because I'm starting to notice since I've been around on social media, like I've been on social media for a very long time, and it was very frustrating because you think, oh, it's marketing, right? So I'm going to get customers this way. And in fact, it's even if it draws people to you, they're not going to buy from you, but at the same time, they're going to they're going to see you, right? So this is more about a storefront, right?
Hmm.
This is actually kind of more for your competition, right? Like you
Hmm.
want to
Hmm.
be in their face. So if somebody does choose to purchase, like in my case, a dance lesson, they'll be like, well, I see this person a lot more than this, like than these other people, right? Like people will say, "Oh,
Mhm.
have you heard of this?" And you're like, "No, but what do you think about this?" Like I just think it's very long game, and because when I ask people when they come to my classes, I'm like, "How did you hear about me?" They're like, "Google." And I was like, and I'm almost positive Google is connected to social media.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that everything works together when it comes to that level of the platforms, right? But instead of, I think a lot of people are afraid to spend money, and I think that's really a big problem, right? Like you're afraid to spend money. It's funny, you'll spend money on a car, which depreciates in value. You'll spend money on other things, but you won't spend money on a business that's going to appreciate in value if you treat it right, if you invest in it, right? And so and then you worry, why am I not getting any growth? Have a campaign, have a budget that you're going to spend on advertising. I mean, you've spent the money on spanky mugs and and all the other things. Why are you not marketing yourself more? Go ahead, Heather.
Well, first of all, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Right out the gate, Heather. That's awesome.
Amazing. Okay, so second of all, yeah, totally agree with what Ivan just said. Actually, is what I was going to say is have a budget, have a strategy behind what you're doing. There is no one answer for any one company. It's different for everyone. So social media will work for some companies. Social media won't work for others. I like combining everything. I've done Google Ads for clients as well as for Denmark. And I have to say that the ones for my clients were way more successful than the ones I did for Denmark.
Right.
But yet social media wise, yeah, ours aren't working. But what I'm finding that is working is having webinars or podcasts. So you use the social media to advertise your events, and then they get to come, they meet you, and they know who you are. You give them valuable information, and then they'll buy from you. Right. So it takes away from what Garth was saying earlier about the whole distrust, because there's no harm in them coming to a webinar or a podcast that is advertising for you. And for instance, I mentioned this to another group I was with, is that my competitor did a webinar a couple of weekends ago, and I took part in it. And I sat there and I go, this was something I really wanted to do for probably about 6 months, and I was just not sure how I wanted to do it. I listened to them and I took part in it, and I sat and watched all the comments, and I'm sitting there and going, he is actually getting people booking calls while he's on this webinar saying,
Amazing.
this is great information, this is great information. And I thought it personally sucked. But then I'm the expert in it, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, these are such minor, minute things that you're telling people, but people are sucking it up. So yes, there's a need. Yes, he's made it successful. Yes, I'm going to copy it. Absolutely.
Okay, listen, I want to play this, but I have to apologize first. It's probably going to play an ad. I just can't seem to stop the ads from running, even though I have premium. Anyway, so here we go.
At Fidelity, we know that everyone's got financial goals, and they're all different. But the one thing we share, we all want to get to them sooner.
All right.
Too bad that
You
wasn't.
know what I hate about emails or texts? Little smiley faces. They really piss me off. Here's one I really hate. I get a lot of this. Let's do lunch. How about we don't do lunch? How about you tell me what you want in the first place? If you send me a text saying, I want to meet with you, I have something important to talk to you about, forget it. I'm not going to waste my time unless I know what you want. When you communicate with people, I'm talking outside of family now, be specific. Tell them what you need and what you want and why you're reaching out. And let me tell you something else. Never, when you're emailing somebody, do more than one paragraph. Nobody reads it. Nobody. If you can get your message out in 2 sentences, 99% of the people who send it to will read it. I read the first sentence, and if I see 3 paragraphs underneath it, I just delete it. And get a really catchy subject line. Something like, hey, I'm probably going to open that up. Just kidding, just kidding. I don't have time to read all that stuff. So if you haven't learned how to communicate effectively in today's economy and society, one big problem is you write too much stuff. You're not concise. If you want to communicate with me, send me 1 sentence. Here's what I want. This is what I need. Are you interested? Yes, no.
All right, folks. Is that like you're thinking about all the emails you sent out over the past week and thinking, man, I wish I could redo them. What are your thoughts on that?
This is why SMS is becoming so popular.
Totally. Wow. I didn't even draw that connection, Heather.
This is literally my entire job.
Yeah.
Just sending out those emails to people who have no idea who I am. They've never heard of our company, but I'm going to be their best friend within a couple weeks. But it's like getting that first point of contact and getting people to, because I am the one who sorts through the inbox for my day job. And the amount of just spam that goes through. And these are
I
people
mean,
with probably similar dreams to what we have, right?
oh, every time that we send an email, we know what we want to ask. Doesn't it feel like we need to pad the beginning and the end of it, as opposed to getting right to the point? It feels
The
like
North American
they're not
thing.
going to respond to us unless we pad it. Hi, I hope you had a great weekend. And, it was so
The
nice
North
meeting you at
American
the,
thing. Like
what?
we're very into small talk here.
In the small talk. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry, Nicole, you saying effective communication is important. Well, sorry, I didn't catch the last of that. Hang on. Like effective communication, part of the effective communication for me is also there are those people who want the small talk. And without the small talk, they think that you're being too pushy. What are your thoughts?
I think I'll chime in here.
Okay.
I think it's all depending on who you're emailing and what you're emailing about. If you're prospecting, absolutely, keep it short, simple. If you're talking to existing clients, that's different. They know who you are. They understand you. You could
Right.
either keep it short. You could fluff it. You can do whatever you want with it. So I think it depends.
It really
Okay.
does stand like prospecting and advertising may be different. But I remember studying the advertising business when I was in university, and it's funny how it was actually very wordy. Like they would tell a story. If it was a Volkswagen Beetle, it was all about, freedom and, thinking outside the box and blah, blah. So they told a story, and the whole idea was that, yes, you should write a whole bunch of stuff, which I think is different today. Like you don't
Yeah.
do that. You might do it in a blog maybe, but not, but even my blog should be able to be read in a minute. Like I keep it short because I figure people's, it's like it's the MTV thing, a very short
Yeah.
just
Catherine,
span,
so Catherine will do a blog, and then she will actually record a SoundCloud podcast, right? Well, just record herself, and she'll put it out there on SoundCloud, and people can listen to it. And it's way easier. Like if I see a bit, I want to find the button where it reads it to me. Like, how do I get this thing to be read to me? Because I don't have time to read through it, and then I can listen to it while I'm busy doing other things. So think about whoever is going to be the recipient of that thing, and how you're gonna reach them. But prospecting, I want you to think about your goals. I mean, we're already into February, and some of us have already set out our goals for the year, and we know whether we are on target, Eloy, whether we're on target to meet those goals, or we're falling behind, or whether we're ahead of the game, right? So think about it. If you are not at the point yet where you're seeing that you're hitting those targets to hit that annual goal, that fiscal goal, right? What can you put into place to help your prospecting? Or how can you do what you're doing better? Especially things like this. Like when we get together tonight, we're going to go out to Burlington. We're going to network. You've done this before, right? And you may have gotten some business cards. You may have actually interacted with those people and done some business. But if not, how do you spank that up and make it better so that you get better outcomes? Go ahead, Elon.
I would like to suggest automation. In today's economy, the way I see it, most of the people, like the top performers, are already doing the activities you are doing as well. Reaching out to people, cold calls, putting out ads. But very few people so far have adopted the idea of efficient prospecting with AI, which is actually getting very, very good right now. It's no longer seems like spam, like back in the early 2020s or so, or 2019 or so. But now AI can actually just read your message and iterate in, depending on the persona you've put in that you're reaching out to. So I think that is one of the missing parts in today's
Really?
efficient prospecting. Yeah. That's
So
my
so
2
which
cents.
which tools are like? Can you give me like an example of a tool that you use
Oh yeah,
for
for sure.
automation?
Right now, I use a tool called Zopto. Yeah, just because I'm familiar with the owner, that is why. But there's other tools like Lemlist, which is a much cheaper alternative, but also does the same thing. It allows you to essentially do social media level targeting. Uh, for example, you discover your ICP, so the company you're reaching out to. You lay down your exactly the avatar, the person themselves you want to talk to. So let's say it's the CEO, the chief of finance. You make a profile of them. You put that into the AI, and you also give it a list. And here, the list doesn't have to be the classic Google Maps list. It can be a LinkedIn Sales Navigator list, just a link of your list that you've made that can have thousands of people, for example. And then pretty much you can set up the parameters you want. Let's say, okay, view the profile of about 25 people a day, and out of those 25, send them an invite or send them an email. And the AI can be set up so you can have a workflow that it knows exactly what to do in case
Okay.
a prospect reacts. So in case they read and don't reply, in case they accept your
Well,
email,
we might
that
want to
kind of
do
stuff.
this.
Yeah,
We might want to do this, Eloy, on Tech Talk. I think
that
I'm
is a good
booking all my
idea.
Tech
Absolutely.
Talks going forward because I think that automation, marketing automation tools that are going to save you time and money, for sure. Because one thing is, and as soon as I hear automation, I think reducing the need for me to hire staff, and that's a good thing.
Oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Okay, Heather, because I do want to throw you guys into a room. So Heather, you go, and then you guys can.
I'll keep
I
it
want to
real
do some
short. I
networking.
was going to say exactly what Eli just mentioned. I actually just participated in a Zapier, and I wrote it in the chat. Actually, Zapier and ChatGPT both have what are now called agents, which are AI almost virtual assistants, but to the max,
Amazing.
where they'll actually search out based upon a criteria, exactly what Eli was talking about. You put in your criteria, what you're searching for, they will look for the contact information and send it back to you, put it into
Amazing.
sheets or whatever you want, and you can fly with it. And
One day, Eloy, these tools will make the phone calls for you and cold call for you, and they're going to be really good. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, listen, I'm going to try to get these breakout rooms set up.
A few moments later.
It feels very Star Trek-y when I see everybody just starting to show up. Very cool, very cool. Listen, thank you everybody for joining us today, and I really hope I see you guys tonight at the. What a great way to top off a Monday is to come out to our Simply Networking events, and it's usually really well attended. So if you're able to make it, great. If not, please do join us Thursday morning for Tech Talk. The last two were pretty awesome, and then there's a training on Thursday morning as well. So if you're a new member and you don't have and you've not been trained on the back end, or if you just want a refresher, then join us at 11 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll go through that. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing day.
Okay.
Take care.
See
All right.
you later.
Thank you. You have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Yeah, nice, Shay. Nice meeting you.